This is Luke from Emo Electric, and we're here today to talk about the Momentum M10. Momentum is a new entrant to the US market, and the M10 is their flagship motor. It's 10 kilowatts, which is equivalent to about a 15 or 20 horsepower gas outboard. We were able to link up with Momentum over the summer. We got to try this out on one of our dinghies. We were blown away. This is the first electric solution if you have a dinghy and you want to be able to plane, at least for out of the box with the manufacturer's battery. We did a whole video on that motor where we talked to Leonard of Momentum Electric Marine USA. We'll link that video here if you're curious to see everything out on the water. But today we finally have our initial order. So we're going to take everything out of the box and show you in a little bit more detail how to get everything set up and what you get with the motor. If you're interested in these, we have them in stock. They're available on our website, ship anywhere in the US. These go out via freight. Usually it's about 7 to 10 days to get one of these. And let's do it. Let's check it out. So we'll start with the battery. So this is the MB6 battery. It is 6.4 kilowatt hours. So that's about 6.5 times bigger than the Torpedo battery, maybe 5 or 6 times bigger than the ePropulsion Spirit battery. It does weigh 80 pounds, so it's not light, but for its energy density, it actually is quite light. So for 6.4 kilowatt hours, 80 pounds is pretty good. So pull it out of the box here. And as you can see, it's not easy for me to pick this up, but it's certainly doable, right? All the other 10 kilowatt electric outboards on the market, like the Torpedo Cruise 10 or ePropulsion has a 12 kilowatt, that's the most similar. Neither of those motors are portable. This system is designed to be super plug and play and super portable. So we've got the box with the motor and everything else here. All right, so this is our box of accessories. Pretty well packaged here. Should be nice and safe while it's on the road. All right, and here's our motor. So we've got the charger there, the motor itself, and then the transom bracket. So we've seen a lot of electric outboard manufacturers go this way recently, where the transom bracket is separate from the motor, which makes it a lot easier to take the motor on and off of your boat. This one is pretty solid here. I believe it's about 11 pounds. Certainly not lightweight. You can see it's got everything if you wanted to hook this up to a steering wheel. This is the tiller version that we have here today, but Momentum does make a remote version that's compatible with a top mount or a side mount throttle. That conversion does need to be done by Momentum, so it's not necessarily easy to swap between the tiller and the remote version of this motor like it is for like the ePropulsion Navy motors, for instance. And we've got our charger here, 110 volts, the American one. All right, so let's see what else is in the box with our accessories here. All right, so this is our power and data cable here. We've got our user manual. Got a cable for the charger, I would presume, a kill switch, and then a wrench. I believe this is for taking the prop on and off, although I'm not totally sure, to be honest. So this is pretty cool. This cable houses your power and your data. You can see it's just one plug here. On there pretty good. So we've got our positive and negative power, and then the data up there. And that plugs into your battery on this end. Again, a nice waterproof connector here. turn that around so you can see it. So that'll one side plugs into the battery and then the other side plugs into the motor. You're not dealing with a positive power cable, a negative power cable, and a separate data cable. Electric outboard manufacturers love to throw around the term plug and play. To me, one cable is plug and play. Anything beyond that is a little bit more complicated. Not that it's hard to set up systems where you have to deal with 3 cables instead of 1, at least in like the 48 volt range and for motors in this size range, but this makes it super easy, especially if you're designing an outboard to be portable. This is what we love to see. So our kill switch here, would definitely recommend grabbing a second one of those. And I believe this is for the prop. And then I believe this goes with the charger here. So we're going to take a minute and get the motor put onto the stand here, and then we'll run through a few features there. All right, so we've pulled the M10 out of the box. We've also put this transom bracket on our motor stand. Pretty straightforward, just like any other one. Tighten down those transom bolts. Just make sure it's really tight for this motor, because it's a lot more powerful than what you're used to if you've got a smaller electric outboard. When you go to put the motor on, you can grab it by this handle here. This also works well if you need to carry it. But one hand here, and then we'll lift up. And then this is a little tricky to do the first time, but after a couple times you'll see it's pretty straightforward. So our motor's on the stand there. The tiller is locked in this position right now. This is really just to keep it out of the way. When you're going to use the motor, you pull this little blue lever towards you if you're standing in front of the motor, and then swing your tiller handle down, and now you're ready to go. You can also leave it up a little higher in case you want to get it out of the way, right, while you're using it. And then once you push it all the way up there, it'll lock again. You can pull it back down, but this is handy in case your transom's angled and you need this to be up a little bit higher. A couple cool features here. One is with the throttle itself. So if we turn this way, you'll see that there's a red button on the end of the throttle. So right now, without pressing the red button, I can't go into reverse, and I can go forward, but then it stops there. If I want to go faster than that, I need to press that red button, and then I can go full power. If I let go, notice how the throttle just comes back to neutral. Right, and that's different than most other electric outboards. Usually you can turn the end of the tiller and just leave it at that speed. But since this motor is so much more powerful, I think Momentum's built that in as a safety function. And also, in order to go into reverse, you've got to press that red button down. And that's very similar to, kind of your conventional gas outboard throttle, where there's a little red lever that you need to pull up in order to leave neutral. They've just modified this slightly, for a tiller handle and for an electric outboard. Another neat feature here is this clutch. So Momentum does not recommend using this when you're just getting used to the motor, but once you're used to it, if you want to leave the motor running at a certain speed, right, we were saying how this tiller handle just comes back to center, you can turn the tiller handle, tighten the clutch, and then the motor will stay going at that speed. Obviously, that can be dangerous, right? Wouldn't recommend doing that going full out. But if you're someone who's got a big sailboat and you're putting this motor on it and you've got a long way to go, this clutch on the tiller can be a really, really helpful feature. So you get the safety of having, and then you loosen this up, and that'll just come right back to the center there. So you have the safety feature, right, of this coming back to neutral when you let go. But if you want the utility of being able to stay at the same speed, you just adjust that clutch. In order to adjust your tilt and trim on this motor, you've got this little lever here. So if you just try and move it like I am right now, it won't go anywhere. You've actually got to put a little bit of downwards pressure on the tiller, and then that will release. And you'll see there's a few different tilt angles here. So that's the first one. I believe there are 5 of these kind of shallow water tilt trim angles. I think that's the highest there, at least for the shallow water angles. And then if we want to come all the way up, you can see how high the motor gets. On some electric outboards, this max tilt angle is only like 70 degrees, which makes it hard to keep the bottom of the motor out of the water. I don't know what it is for momentum off the top of my head, certainly not quite 90, but it's probably 85 degrees or 80, maybe 85 degrees or so. So I wouldn't expect you to have an issue keeping the motor itself out of the water when you're not using it. And then to drop this back down, again, this won't move because there's load on it. And actually, you know what, before that, you can see if you look in here, you've got all the way down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So those are all different tilt positions. Those are also different trim positions. So if you have an angled transom, you'd want to run the motor so that the motor is perpendicular to the water, but not parallel to the transom because the transom's angled. Oftentimes with outboard, you have a pin that serves that function, but Momentum has kind of made them one and the same. So you can use that for shallow water or to adjust the angle of the motor when it's all the way down, so to speak, and you're gonna go up on the plane. If you are going fast, you definitely want this down perpendicular to the water, not at one of those shallow water angles, or else the bow of your boat's gonna go up pretty high. To drop this down, I'm gonna push down on the tiller, push that in, and then we're going to let the motor come all the way down once again. To take the motor off, first we're going to fold our tiller back, and then right here, this black lever, this is going to pull out, and you'll see this says lock before operation. Right now the motor can come up and out. So if we're using the motor, we want that locked in. Usually it pops back in on its own, but if we're taking the motor off, we can pull that forward. I'm going to put my foot on this stand here, and the motor pops right off. And you can see right here, this little tab is what locks the motor in. Right? If I pull that black tab forward, that comes forward, and then once you drop the motor on, that goes back. But when you go to put it on, this will press in automatically just from the weight of the motor. So we'll get it back on here, fold our tiller down, and we're ready to go. All right, so I want to run you through a little bit on the propellers and the zincs on the M10. So there are 3 zinc anodes that come stock on the motor. There's one right here on the transom bracket. It's nice that these come stock, as they should. And then there's 2 down here. There's one just in front of the propeller, and then there's one in there that you won't really be able to see that is right on the shaft. While we're thinking about this propeller, that wrench that came with it is for this nut. We like how there's a true pin right there, true cotter pin that's not going to let this loosen up. And when it comes to propellers, the M10 ships standard with the propeller that's on there right now. That is, they call it the Momentum or the M10 propeller. It's their standard one. It's good for boats that want to get up on the plane. So if you're putting this on a small dinghy, that's the way to go. They do make another prop. They call it the high thrust propeller, and that's more for big, heavier boats. So if you're not putting this on a dinghy, if you're putting this on a sailboat that weighs 8,000–10,000 pounds, the other propeller would be the way to go, and that one is sold separately. All right, so now we're going to show you how to get everything hooked up, which is so easy. So first we're going to connect the power data cable to the battery. So this cap we had already pulled off here. Just going to push this in. You really can't do it wrong. If it's upside down, it won't fit. And we really want to make sure that's pushed in well. There's nothing that truly locks the cable to the battery on this side, but this does not come out easily. Like if I pull as hard as I can, it barely budges. You've really got to wiggle it back and forth. And then even then, it's not that easy. But that's by design, right? They don't want this coming loose. So make sure when you put this in that you really push it in all the way so there's a good solid connection there. Now, before I connect it to the motor, I'm going to fold up the tiller because this is where it plugs in there. So that was open, but typically you want to leave it closed like this. You're going to push down on the black tabs there, pull that cap out. So now it's ready for the cable. And Take the cap off this end, push this in. Again, we really want to make sure that's nice and tight, nice good seal. And then we're going to lock this up and really make sure it clicks all the way. And now that can't come out. I did this a second ago off camera and I hadn't locked this all the way. It was kind of like that and it dropped right down. It's because I didn't have that clicked in all the way, and now you can see really isn't going to go anywhere. Right here is where our kill switch is going to go, on the bottom of the tiller. So we're going to fold this forward. You can see this is already on here, and it's telling us to attach our kill switch. All right, we can see our state of charge in that bar up there, so I think we're totally 100%. If not, we're certainly close. Once I get this kill switch on, now we can see the screen as it normally will be. So we've got our speed. Right now it's in knots. You can change that between kilometers per hour, miles per hour, and knots. And then here we would have our range. Right now the motor is not running, so we don't have anything down there, but once you're out on the water, that data is live. Momentum does not recommend running this out of the water for any period of time because it's passively cooled, right? This is a direct drive motor. The motor is down there, and that motor itself being submerged is what cools it. So if you run this on land, it can overheat and damage seals, but you can run it for just a second, and we're going to do that now just to show you how powerful this is. We're going to make sure our prop is well and clear. You can get an idea of the power there. And that was only to 50%, right? I didn't press that red button in at all. Clearly, pretty powerful motor here. So to break down this system, it's pretty straightforward. We're going to first take our kill switch off. We're going to fold our tiller up. We're going to press these black tabs down again. Push that blue piece of metal down, so now our power data cable is free. That pulls out. We're going to put our cap on here. Going to make sure we put our cap on there. Push that back up. All right, protecting these power and data cables from corrosion is so important. Most common point of failure in any electric outboard tends to be those. Going to pull our cable out of our battery. And that's really it. We've talked about how to take the motor off the stand. I think the last thing that we'll show you is just how to get the charger hooked up here. So this charger doesn't give us a ton of information on it. It tells us a little bit about what the different LEDs on the charger are telling us. There's a little spot for a light there. It's got a fan there. It could clearly be mounted somewhere. You can see the mounting holes there and there. Nice little handle. And one end of this is just going to go straight into our battery. And then we're going to hook up our AC cable right here. And then this just plugs into a regular wall outlet. It's as easy as that. And this charger puts out about 10 amps. So one question that we've gotten pretty often about the M10 is if it's compatible with third-party batteries. This battery, while it is very energy dense, 80 pounds is 80 pounds, and not everyone can move that around super easily. You can go third party. You have to buy an adapter kit from Momentum. I believe right now it's about $350, and that allows you to use third-party batteries instead of the Momentum battery. Keep in mind that this system runs on 72 volts, so it's not easy to find a lithium battery in that voltage rating. It's a lot easier to find two 36-volt batteries that you can wire together in series to get that 72 volts. Keep in mind though, you need 150 amps continuous output. The setup that we've been recommending for people who want a lighter weight battery are 36 volt batteries from Solid State Marine. They come in 60, 120, and maybe 210 or 240 amp hours, but the 120s or thereabouts are about pretty much the way to go. That gives your total capacity about 8.4 kilowatt hours, and each of those batteries is only 40 pounds. So a lot easier to move around. You might still be moving around 80 pounds, but you only have to handle 40 pounds at once. So if you're interested in one of those, Solid State Marine can actually make those with waterproof Amphenol connectors. Those aren't stock on our site, at least right now, but if you are interested in going third party, get in touch with us and we'll let you know what other parts you need to buy to make that happen. So talking a little bit about range here, and again, that other video we have goes into this in a little bit more depth, and we'll put the chart on the screen here. As you can see, at slow speeds, you can go all day with the M10. And at 17.5 hours at 3.7 miles an hour, or 4 hours and 36 minutes at 6.4 miles an hour. So it's more range than almost anyone would typically use in a day of boating with the M10. Now, like all electric outboards, once you start going fast, pulling a lot of amps, pulling a lot of power from the battery, your range drops down significantly. In Momentum's test, at about 13.7 miles an hour, so up on the plane, but not full out, they were going for 1 hour and 18 minutes. And then at full out, they were going 18.6 miles an hour for 48 minutes. So if you're gonna be on the plane all the time, you've definitely gotta be thinking about your range. But if you're just gonna be planing occasionally and mostly going slow, you should have more than enough. And for most people who are gonna use this motor, and I think the biggest market for this is gonna be cruisers with dinghies that want the convenience of electric, but wanna be able to go fast. When you're using that dinghy, you're not usually going too far, right? That mile trip up on the plane is so quick. Whereas if you have to go slowly, 4 or 5 miles an hour, that mile-long trip takes a lot longer. So we really think the M10 is going to be a great solution for people in that situation. And just to round that out, talk a little bit about weight of the whole system. Again, the battery is about 80 pounds. The motor itself is about 48 to 50 pounds, depending on long shaft or short shaft. This is the short shaft version here. And then the bracket itself is about 13 pounds. So if you're planning to use this motor and you need it to be portable, you've got to lift the 50-pound motor and the 80-pound battery, and then all together you're at about 145 pounds, maybe 150 with the power data cable, in terms of the weight of the system on your boat. All right, so that does it for our M10 unboxing. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Head over to our website, give us a call, send us an email. We're happy to answer any questions that you might have about the M10. Keep in mind, Momentum does also make the M6. It's basically a carbon copy of everything here, but it's $1,000 cheaper, at least right now. And it's a 6 kilowatt motor, about a 10 horsepower, opposed to a 10 kilowatt or 15 to 20 horsepower motor. Momentum's also released the specs on the U2. It's a portable electric outboard, a lot more similar to a Torqeedo Travel or an E-Propulsion Spirit. Weighs about 40-50 pounds, portable, but has 2.5 kilowatts of power opposed to 1 or 1.1 kilowatts like those 3 horsepower electric outboards we're used to. So if you want more information on that, subscribe to our channel. We'll have a video up on that soon. And if you are interested in the U2, get in touch with us and we'll put you on the list to keep you informed as more information becomes available. So thanks for watching, and hope to see you out in the water with one of these guys soon.